In a rare move that is sure to surprise Canadians but also serve as a relief, the federal court has begun releasing the documents submitted for the trial on vaccine mandates for air travel, which pits two residents of Canada against Justin Trudeau. The court decided to do this after an exclusive report by journalist Rupa Subramanya, which claimed that the government body which was in charge of writing mandates had no one with a medical background as part of the body. Sound familiar? Following the damning report by Subramanya, the official Twitter account of the federal court cited interest in the matter on Friday before going on to release a link to the proceedings. The federal court tweeted that the documents filed in federal court were public unless there was a confidentiality order. Due to the interest in the matter of Carl Harrison et al. Versus the Attorney General, all documents have been posted to the court's website. Normally, people request documents from the court's registrar. The court documents are made public in Canada. Before now, the federal court only traditionally broadcasted trial decisions and not ongoing case documents. It was on May 30 that a decision was reached to publish court documents concerning the collection of data by the Canadian Security Intelligence Service. In her scathing and factual report, Subramanya exposed the lack of medical knowledge that plagued the employees of the government body charged to craft COVID-19 mandates for the country. She also showed more than that in her exclusive report. It was on the 13th of August 2021 that Trudeau's government announced that anyone who was unvaccinated was barred from boarding trains and planes. The move by Trudeau was an excellent fit for the personality he had cultivated for the sake of his political image, the personality of a progressive, forward-thinking politician who based his decisions on facts and reason. I can confidently tell you, though, that Trudeau is nothing like the personality that he is trying to present to the public, and he has grossly failed at that. Because which right-thinking politician who lists facts and reason as his parameters for making decisions would do even half of what Trudeau has done to Canadians? But at that time, when he announced the new mandates in 2021, it boosted the public personality he crafted. It was assumed that Trudeau was doing this for the good of Canadians, and even Jennifer Little, who is the Director General of the COVID Recovery Panel, a secretive government body in charge of writing the mandates, said that Trudeau's mandate was one of the strongest vaccination mandates for travelers in the world. We would soon realize that Trudeau only announced that mandate for his own benefit and to strengthen his hold on Canada's seat of power, because 2 days after the announcement, he called for a snap election with the belief that his party would win more seats in Parliament and become a majority, thereby strengthening his office in the government. He had also hoped that the new mandates would boost his chances, but he was wrong. The Liberals failed to win a majority in the elections and had to enter an agreement with the NDP to keep hold of power, as the Conservatives retained their majority status but were unable to get the top office in the land because of Canadian laws. Trudeau's plan had failed, and roughly 5 million unvaccinated Canadians were meant to bear the brunt of this. It would have been suspicious if he had lifted the restrictions following the elections, especially as it did not help him win his intended majority. So he decided to leave it there. Recently released court documents, which show the decision-making behind the travel mandates imposed by Trudeau, also show that the Prime Minister intended to use the mandate as a weapon for political victory. These court documents are part of the ongoing court case between the two residents of Canada and the government, which was stated earlier. While we would get into the identities and grievances of these Canadians in a bit, you can see the extent Trudeau can go just to remain in power. It is frightening and alarming at this point. The fact that he used a precarious and sensitive event such as the COVID-19 pandemic period to strengthen his political figure goes to show that this man is hell-bent on doing anything possible to retain power. It's cynical, really. Now about the plaintiffs. The first is Carl Harrison, a 58-year-old who immigrated to Canada from Britain in the late 2000s and became a Canadian citizen in 2015. His mother, aged 88, was living in Britain, and he was vexed that he was unable to visit her because of the mandates imposed by Trudeau. He had previously refused to be vaccinated on the grounds of bodily autonomy. He said that when faced with oppressive government behavior, there are 3 choices. Either one accepts the behavior, fights it, or leave, and unlike some Canadians currently seeking asylum in the U.S. because of Trudeau's mandates, Harrison chose to fight it. The other plaintiff is Sean Richards, a 55-year-old living outside Toronto and with a father in Britain who was suffering from Alzheimer's disease that was in its late stage. He had expressed surprise at Trudeau's announcement and quickly launched a GoFundMe to battle the federal government. The two plaintiffs were similar in a number of ways, one of which was their sense of need to fight Trudeau over the mandates. It wasn't long enough before the two Canadians met online, and in December, they jointly filed a lawsuit. It was at this point that things got messier for Trudeau, as it was discovered that the members of the COVID-19 recovery panel that had been set up by him had no medical background, and even the Director General of the government panel who was meant to lead the charge had no inkling of medical knowledge. Jennifer Little, who is the Director General, is a graduate of literature from the University of Toronto, and she testified that there was only one person in the panel with a medical background. Monique Street Laurent was the person she named as having such medical knowledge. It was then discovered that Street Lauren had only worked briefly with a public health agency of Canada and that she was not a doctor. Little also suggested that someone at a senior level of the government had ordered the COVID recovery unit to impose the travel mandate. This is grave if this is true, that a senior government official, including Prime Minister Trudeau, had interfered directly with what was meant to be an independent affair. When she was asked to name the senior official, she said she couldn't disclose what was subjected to cabinet confidence. This narrowed the suspects down to the members of Trudeau's cabinet. One of those liberal politicians serving in Trudeau's cabinet had instructed that the mandate be placed, and it could be Trudeau himself, seeing how he quickly called for a snap election following the announcement. In the month of September, a judge will decide whether to quash the lawsuit, even as some have called for the case to be closed since the mandates have been suspended. It is also well known that court cases involving mandates made by Trudeau's government. Hence, it is likely that this case will be shelved too, but something that is certain and can be deemed worthy of note is the fact that this case between Harrison, Richards, and the government have shown Canadians what really goes on behind closed doors. Rupa Subramanya perfectly captured these and more in her report on the issue. Trudeau and his Liberal government are well and truly cynical and should not be allowed to remain a second in power. Though Canadians can only do so much, it is up to the federal court, which now has the power and the evidence in their hands to do justice and put Trudeau where he belongs, behind bars. What are your thoughts on Subramanya's report? What do you think of Trudeau's manipulation to win the majority in the 2021 elections? Please do leave your comments on this in the comments section down below, as we would love to hear your thoughts. Also, please leave us a like on this video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet and turn on post notifications so you don't miss out on any of our videos. Thanks for watching.